It's a Tuesday, time to talk Denver Broncos on Orange and Blue today. Cecil, Lammey, Andrew Mason talking about how no running back's job is safe because of Estimé. We'll get to Blake Watson. He's got his own show coming up on Thursday, but like the Estimé pick certainly sends a message to this backfield.
Yeah, first of all, Cease, I must ask you, how many yards would you estimate that Estimé comes up with this year?
You know, I could see a 50-50 split between he and Javonte, and they both push for, let's say, 800 yards each. So that means combined, those two would be 1,600 yards on the ground. You
Ooh.
throw in a little more from Jaleel, a little more from Blake. I don't think P. Ryan will be here. And, you're closer to the 2,000-yard mark. As a team in 17 games, Mace, I think that sounds somewhat appropriate, especially with the young quarterback. You're going to lean on your ground game more.
That would be really impressive if you're talking about a 2,000-yard rushing season from the Broncos. And, oh, by the way, you didn't mention Bo Nix in there as well as part of the 2,000.
True, right?
And he's liable to get some yards with his legs. We know he can move well. Last year, just take a real quick look when you say 2,000 rushing yards. Last year, if the Broncos had 2,000 rushing yards, it would have placed them in the top 13. There were 13 teams last year at least 2,000 rushing yards. League lead was Baltimore, 2661. Number 2 was Chicago, 2399. What do they have in common? Quarterbacks who can take off and run. And they can take off and run more than Bo Nix will. So I don't know if you're talking about that much, but 2,100 rushing yards would put you in the top 10. Is that a fair expectation with the work being spread around pretty liberally, as you suggest?
Is that a need?
Well,
you got Bo Nix, man. You got to set him up. Ben Roethlisberger, when he was a kid and they went 15-1 as a rookie, what'd they do? They ran the hell out of the ball.
Let me flash back to what Sean Payton said when I asked him about the things needed to develop a rookie quarterback. He said the two most important things you could have to help a rookie quarterback were running game and defense. Okay?
Message.
Yeah. You want to run the ball. You want to take the pressure off. You want to open things up, play action. You want to get the defense, creating some space for those pass catching targets because they've got to commit safety a little bit forward to handle the run. So can Estimé be a part of that? Absolutely. I mean, the vision for him already is as a first and second down running back, which if you're a first and second down running back means you could be starting.
Yes.
Not a situational back. It's, they used Javonte Williams in the schedule release. They used Jaleel McLaughlin in the schedule release, they're not the schedule release. Uniform release. They used Javonte Williams was wearing the new uniforms. Jaleel McLaughlin was wearing the throwback uniforms in the uniform release videos and photos, the photos that were put out there. So you got that, but at the same time, is anyone safe? I don't. Not when Blake Watson might be a bit more robust blocker than Jaleel McLaughlin simply because of his body type. He's a slightly larger back. And not when you have Estimé, who is a pounder. He is he's a ground and pound, grind him out, will run over you type of back. Yes. Likes to run violent.
And since you use the word violent, we actually have two clips where he talks about violence. One is violence in practice. We'll get to that one a little bit. Mm-hmm. But let's just talk about his violent style. This dude is the Hulk. Listen to Estimé talk about his violent style.
I take a lot of pride in it. I'm a big guy, as you probably could tell, so I got to run behind my pads and run behind my size, but I'm more than that. I'm a versatile back. I'm a back to do it all. Like, I'm a back that can go over you, I can make you miss, and I can go around you. So I try to pride myself to be able to do it all.
Doing it all.
Yes. You don't want him full speed coming at you. Now, we talked about the 40 time. What was it? 4.71. He said it was 4.57 at his pro day. If it's 4.57 at his size, if that's his speed when he gets downhill, you could have problems. There are going to be some angry runs. It's interesting actually to think about Estimé and the power nature of his style and how there's a lot in common with Javonte Williams coming out of North Carolina in the 2021 draft. If there's a difference between the two, it's that Javonte came in much more accomplished as a pass catcher
Yes.
in college than you see from Audric Estimé. That's part of why you talk about Javonte Williams being around 2 pick and Audric Estimé coming in at the end of a cluster of running backs in the draft. It's kind of the end of that mid-round run of running backs there in round 5.
Yeah. And it's one of the reasons why, Mace, I've never said this before. Hell, I just thought about it when you were talking. Is Javonte eventually going to be just the Pirine? Pirine had a 300-yard game and 8 touchdowns against Kansas. Okay. He was very accomplished as a college running back. I loved him coming out of college. And then he just became like the veteran, third down, dependable pass catcher. Maybe Javonte is that, and Estimé is your banger.
Maybe. It could happen that way.
Mm-hmm.
That being said, Javonte is going to have a lot to do with this. This isn't going to be just about what Estimé can do.
Sure.
It's going to be about Javonte. If Javonte Williams is back to at least close to where he was health-wise before that horrific knee injury in October of 2022, he's going to have the job. There's going to be a place for him on this team. Now, where it gets interesting, though, is if Estimé is the equal of Javonte Williams, is there a trade of the surplus if there's a team that needs a running back? That's where it gets interesting. I don't think there will be, because running back is such a high attrition position that you need to be covered. I mean, frankly, if Samaje Perine is not in the mix, I like the idea of Javonte Williams, Audric Estimé, Jaleel McLaughlin, Blake Watson, all being on the 53, all 4 of them. And I like that because then you've got your Thunder and Lightning, and then you've got your backup Thunder and your backup Lightning.
Yeah.
You're covered. And as we'll get into, because we're going to at some point do a show on the kickoffs, the way kickoffs are structured really could create some special teams opportunities for running backs, which is why you might be going heavy at running back compared to where you've been most of the last several years, where you've usually kept 3 running backs. This could be a 4 running back room on the 53 when all is said and done, as the needs of special teams evolve.
You mentioned him and Javonte being so similar, and you've brought it up about Javonte's vision. I said he looks for contact because he doesn't look for daylight.
Yeah.
But Estimé kind of does. And we do have a clip of him talking about, you like to go over guys or through guys? I'll even add around guys. Let's hear what Estimé had to say about that.
It depends. It depends what stage of the game it is. I say if it's like the first quarter, that makes someone feel you, let them know what type of game it is. Maybe go through them, and then later in the game when they're getting tired, they're just diving at your ankles and go over them. And that's when you hit the home runs.
I like that. She's
Yes.
thinking, higher level of thinking, man.
You set them up, and then when they're diving at you, they're already knocked down. You exploit them. Basically, it's like you exploit what they're doing. If they're going to come at you straight on, you run over them. If they're going to lunge and dive, you leap over them, right? I should say you run through them or you leap over them. Through, over. Little hop step, right?
Right. Now, what does Javonte do? Through, and then later he goes through.
Through.
That's the difference.
Javonte doesn't pass up an opportunity to run through anybody. That's
No.
his thing.
That's going to shorten his career.
You
Unfortunately.
could say that Javonte runs through contact, whereas Estimé, I think at times, is at least going to make a conscientious effort to avoid the contact. Save a little of that wear and tear, because even if you're a big back, it all adds up. And in fact, if you're a bigger player at your position, sometimes you take on more contact because it takes more to bring you down. Cam Newton, quarterback, often taking 2 defenders to bring him to the ground. That's double the wear and tear from the contact that you have. And I think that's part of the reason why Cam Newton's career was over after only 11 seasons and why he's not still playing.
Mm-hmm. We know Audric Estimé has a ton of power. However, in practice, you can't really show that. So Estimé talked about how do you have a violent style in practice when you can't really show your violent style? Here's what the rookie had to say.
I just try to still run hard. Like, I'm not trying to hurt my teammates. It's practice, but you got to finish run. You got to run with your pad level run, and you just run past the last guy, and a safety comes up, and I'll say, "Look, like, you're not tackling me in that play." Like, even if we're not in pads on, I'll say, if we're in a game, you're not gonna make that tackle.
Couple of things. First of all, as he's saying that, I'm hearing Culture Club. Do you really want to hurt me? Second of all, look at that dude's shoulders.
Yeah.
Whoa. This guy is built.
Yes, I've compared him to the Hulk already. So
yes,
and not the cardigan wearing Hulk from Endgame, like the Hulk from the first Hulk. Hulk smash, Estimé smash.
Don't make Audric Estimé angry. You wouldn't like him when he's angry.
Not at all. How do you think he caught on Saturday? Since we can't watch his violence, and even Sean Payton said, hey, in practice, linebackers, safeties, running backs can't really show as much. I felt he caught better. I think there's some notions preconceived about, oh, he can't catch. No. He catches cleanly, and I felt he did a quality job. It's not like he was stabbing at the ball Saturday. It's not like he had drops on Saturday. We can't tell you everything, but like we would have noticed if it was bad, and it wasn't bad.
More natural than I was expecting. That's how I would describe the way he caught the ball. I'm not saying he's in Blake Watson's class as a pass catcher. That's tough. That's a pretty high standard based on what we saw in college football last season. So he's not there, but he looked fluid. I thought his technique was good. I thought he's going to be able to handle it reasonably well. I'm not saying he's ready to have 50-plus catches right away, kind of like Samaje Perine had last year, but I think he's going to be somebody who can be dependable in that area of the game. And if he does that, then he goes from just being first and second down to every down, third down as well. It's why it was very interesting to me that you mentioned the notion of if Samaje Perine's not around, does Javonte Williams handle that role? Possibly, but also another possibility is if Javonte is all the way back and resumes delivering those angry runs like he did as a rookie, who's to say it isn't Estimé that at the start of his career handles the Perine role last year of close and late running back who can do just a little bit out of the backfield if he can get his pass catching game up to a certain level. I think that's something that may come into play.
He's a natural plucker, which I like. He doesn't body catch, but Mace, there's one thing that all these guys, and I don't mean to write off Samaje Perine. We obviously give him a lot of credit, and he's that veteran insurance. He's the meat lover's pizza in the trunk. I always used to say the cheese pizza, and somebody on Twitter is like, dude, it was a meat lover's pizza from Tommy Boy. He's the meat lover's pizza in the trunk, but my God, he's got to pass protect. With a rookie quarterback, and Jaleel has questions there. Blake has questions there. Estimé is going to have questions there. With Perine and Williams, you do not have those questions.
Right. And that's you're going to have to show you're not great. I'm not saying you have to be world beating, but you have to be competent, and you have to, for Jaleel McLaughlin, it may be about being an obstruction, although there are things that he can do leverage wise that can help him out. So that's what, I mean, I'm not sure we're going to have a good answer on that until we get to training camp and the full pads go on. But I am curious to see where Jaleel McLaughlin stacks up when we get to OTAs. And you can't, is he in position? Is he identifying where the rush is coming from? Is he putting himself in a spot where he can at least be an obstruction and buy an extra second or two for the quarterback? If he can do that, then he has a chance to expand his role. That being said, the thing that Jaleel has on his side is coaches love him. He's beloved in that building. It's not that they don't love Samaje Perine too.
Sure.
But Jaleel's one of those extra mile guys that kind of matter when you're building a culture. I should ask you this. Who do you think is more on the bubble, McLaughlin or Javonte Williams?
If the bubble includes trades, it'd be Javonte.
Okay.
Because you're not trading, you're not cutting Javonte.
Right.
I don't think you're cutting Jaleel, but I think if it includes trades, which it should, then the conversation would be Javonte.
And bear in mind when you're talking about these running backs, and I'd say with both Blake Watson and Jaleel McLaughlin, I think Estimé is on the team. 5th round pick, you're basically on the team.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
With Blake Watson and Jaleel McLaughlin, if you think you can sneak those guys through the practice squad, I think you got another thing coming there. I don't think you're going to be able to do that with either of them. There's a lot of thinks there in that thought.
Right. You didn't go Judas Priest. You went Culture Club, but you didn't go Judas Priest. You got another thing coming. And we did hear Estimé. He was asked, was it Arnie? One of our dear friends. He was like, do you see yourself as the starter? He's like, I'm just here to do it. I'm like, okay. He gave the politically correct answer, Mace, but all these guys want to compete. Blake Watson wants to compete. Estimé wants to compete. Javonte is going to compete. Jaleel's going to compete. Mm-hmm. And yes, Samaje is as well. That's why we say no job is safe. Let competition, let the games begin.
But yeah, as Nuke Lelouch said, just happy to be here and hope I can help the ball club. I just want to give it my best shot, and the good Lord willing, things will work out. Audric Estimé didn't say that, but it was very close to that. It's like, just going to give it my best shot.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Your first weekend as an NFL player is not the moment to come in and be bold and be like, I'm.
Devontae Booker said he wasn't there to carry pads. And Devontae Booker should have carried everybody's
That
pads.
was wrong.
Yes.
You're a fourth round pick. You're walking in. CJ Anderson had just signed a contract extension. They even had at that moment, I believe they brought Ronnie Hillman back, but he ended up not making the team, the late Ronnie Hillman. No, your role is to carry pads. That's part of the job when you're a rookie. Yeah, I expect Bo Nix to be carrying Zach Wilson and Jarrett Stidham's pads. You're a rookie. Do it. It's part of it's I don't believe in hazing, but I do. I think
there's a rite of passage.
Yes, that's a better way of putting it. It's hazing implies a lot of harm, right? Carrying the pads is a rite of passage and a respect for the elders, those who've gone where you're hoping to go. That's what I think that is. And so, I expect Troy Franklin, I expect Audric Estimé, I expect Bo Nix, all these guys be carrying pads and not doing the Devontae Booker thing of saying, no, I'm not carrying the pads.
Right.
Yeah. Should have known it wasn't going to work out for Devontae when he said that.
Oh, the stories we could tell in Broncos years past. They're going through a get to know your rookies from rookie minicamp. And this entire week, we're talking Frank Crum coming up on Wednesday. We also have a live schedule show for you at 6 p.m. Mace, I'm looking forward to look at you rubbing your hands together, getting ready for that show, brother. We're excited.
We've known the Who for a long time. Shoot, we know a lot of the Who for next year, even, right? Because 14 of the 17 games are set based on the rotation. We just don't know the when. We don't know the logistics. We start figuring it out. Start booking some flights, Get ready to catch the Broncos wherever they go. We'll have you covered with all of it here at denversports.com.
We're ready to rope and ride Broncos. But Mace, before we're out of here today, how do you help us out on YouTube?
You can like,
comment,
share,
subscribe,
hit that notification bell
so that you never miss a vid. That's right. He's Andrew Mason. Follow him on all the socials at Mace Denver. I'm at Cecil Lammey saying OBT is a BFD. Thanks for watching, everyone. Stay tuned. And would you please stay frosty,